First of all, I just want to say that I'm not putting this video on my channel because I'm not making this video to get attention or to, draw any attention to myself as a person, but I just really want to get this story out there so that people, especially young girls like I was and like I still am, know what they're dealing with when they're interacting with, Durianrider, Harley, because I did not know what I was dealing with. So I think I'll just start right from the beginning. I met Harley at his cycling festival last year in June, and I was like a huge fan of his. Like, I watched all his YouTube videos. At the time, I really looked up to him, and yeah, we talked a few times at the festival, not much. But then in September, I came back to Chiang Mai, and pretty much as soon as I got back here, he sent me messages being like, "Are you back in Chiang Mai? Where are you staying? When are you coming up the Doi?" And to be honest, at the time, I was quite, pleasantly surprised that he like noticed me, that he knew who I was, that he even knew my name. So I was quite happy that he was like noticing me. I just got some notes here if you're wondering why I'm looking down, because it's quite a long story and it's not very comfortable for me to tell the story, to be honest, but I really feel I need to tell it. So then we went to a bike shop together one day. It was just us two, and that's the first time we really talked. And after that he started talking about me a lot. Like, he started complimenting me a lot. He started talking a lot about what I looked like. And at the time, it made me feel a bit uncomfortable, but at the same time, I felt that, he liked me at least. So, because I was looking up to him, I was happy that he was noticing me, as I said. And yeah, then the next day, he asked me if there was any free rooms at my apartment building. Now, that made me feel a bit weird because I only just met him. I hardly knew the guy, and he was wanting to move into my apartment building suddenly. So I kind of just brushed it off and said, just, I don't know, ask the reception. Yeah, so then I think the day after, he messaged me again saying, "Do you want to meet up tonight? I can come to your room." And at that point, I felt quite uncomfortable, honestly, because he's like 40 years old, I'm 18, I was 18 at the time, and yeah, so I wasn't sure what he wanted from me. So I kind of just tried to wiggle myself out of it a little bit. I think I said I was tired and I was going for a ride the next day, so I said maybe we can meet another time or whatever. But then he said to me that it was only about, like, he only wanted to talk to me about my camera and I shouldn't worry. And I was like, oh, okay. So, like, he doesn't have any bad intentions, so it's okay. And I kind of trusted him. So he came to my room, and that night it was actually okay because we just talked and I tried to keep my distance from him. Then, because I trusted him after that, I was like, oh, okay, so he actually just wants to be friends with me. And I felt great about that because, I was respecting him a lot. I was looking up to him as this like community leader who was doing great things, I thought, at the time. And yeah, so then the day after, he wanted to see me again and he wanted me to come to his room, and I was like, okay, we'll just hang out again because we're friends now. And yeah, as soon as I got there, he wanted to go to the rooftop and we started talking, but it was a bit different because he started making a lot of like sexual comments, and he really tried to direct the conversation towards sex, which I felt a bit uncomfortable with again because he was so much older than me and I hardly knew him as well. So I kind of tried to just brush it off, and he was asking me things like, if someone's like really into you, what do you think they should do? And at that point I was realizing that he was like directly, talking about me, and I tried to brush it off by saying, oh, I think they should just like keep their distance and wait, kind of like wait and see. But he didn't. So he then tried to kiss me, and I kind of stepped back, and I was like, I don't think we should do this. Like, I don't think I want to do this. And what was strange about that situation is he was so taken aback and almost, I'm not sure, confused or angry that I said no to him. It's like he wouldn't expect any girl to ever say no to anything that he wants to do with them. But yeah, so I said I don't think we should do this, and he then started asking me continuously why I didn't want to kiss him and why I wasn't attracted to him and why. And the thing about that is he kept asking those questions, and obviously my answer in my head was that you're like 40 and I'm 18, and I don't think that we should be doing this because you're like so much older than me and I don't think this is right. So, but because I respected him so much, I looked up to him so much, I liked him as this person that I thought he was, and this illusion that I had of him, of this great giving guy, I didn't want to like hurt him, so I just didn't say anything, and I kind of just said, oh, I don't know, like I just don't feel good about this kind of thing. And yeah, he just kept asking until I felt almost really stupid about saying no to him, because I felt like if he was questioning my decision so much, I was thinking surely there must be something wrong with me to say no to him. So at some point I just felt so stupid about my own decisions, my own, and at that point I was like, maybe I'm just making a deal out of something that shouldn't be a big deal, and maybe I'm being the stupid one. Maybe I should have just let him do whatever he wants to do. So that night later we ended up going back downstairs, and he wanted to talk in his bedroom, and then said my legs were really tight and started giving me a massage. And at that point I was like lying down on his bed because that's what he wanted me to do. And he then tried to kiss me again, and as I said earlier, I wasn't really confident anymore in that situation, so I kind of just let him do it. And we actually, and this is really weird like looking back, but we actually ended up having sex that night. And he then moved into my apartment building like a few days after, and was like very close to my room, which I didn't really feel comfortable with either. But basically what was then happening was he would just come over to my room like at night times, like he would just message me late at night for sex basically, and then come over and then just leave again. And it's really weird, I guess, looking back, that I let him do that, but I think at the same time it's important to remember that I was looking up to him so much that I just kind of didn't want my perfect image of him to fade or to be distorted. So if there was something that he was doing that I didn't feel comfortable with, every time I kind of just blamed myself, and in a way that was like, maybe I'm being the stupid one here, maybe I shouldn't worry about this, and maybe this is just me and I'm just being weird. Such as when he refused to use condoms basically, and kind of just made a joke out of it, being like, oh, it's too late now anyway. It wasn't too late at all, but at the time I kind of just went, as crazy as it sounds, along with everything that he was saying, because as someone else looking up to, as this leader of this community that I was a part of, I felt the obligation to make him like me and do whatever he wanted me to do so he would like me. And yeah, it's just really weird. But I think at the time I actually thought that he was treating me well somehow, which he really wasn't. Like, he just ignored me when we were, you know, in person with other people around. He just ignored me. Then he, you know, refused to use condoms for no actual reason whatsoever, really. And he was also, problem with that is he was also, I'm not sure who else he was sleeping with, because he also lied to me about, you know, other girls. Like, I heard about him having a girlfriend when I first got here, so I asked him about it. Last year, that is. I asked him about it, and he said, no, I don't have a girlfriend. And I was like, well, what were those people saying? Because they were telling me that you have a girlfriend and she's staying with you at your place in Adelaide, and she's living there right now until you like come back, and then you're like gonna live together. And what he basically said to me was, we just hooked up a few times and she's just staying at my place now because she needed a place to stay, and I just have a free place right now so she can stay there for free until I get back. But then it turns out that he actually told her that they were basically together, and that he was going to come to Adelaide and like live there with her. And yeah, he lied to her about me as well, it turned out later when I talked to her, and didn't tell her about me at all until a lot later. So yeah, it really, his statements and his actions didn't really line up, because the things he was saying to me was that I was like, I quote, 10 out of 10 girlfriend material, and like he was saying I guess nice things to me. So at the time I was like, oh, he's treating me well, but his actions really didn't align with that at all, the way he was treating me. I remember telling a friend that I kind of felt like I was being treated like a prostitute, because towards the end, like after about a week, he kind of stopped talking to me altogether. Like, he would just come over to have sex and then pretty much just leave. And yeah, so his actions, again, which is narcissistic behavior really, is when your actions really don't line up with your statements. But at the time, I just didn't even question anything, and I didn't realize, because I didn't think someone who had such a high status and who was almost like a YouTube celebrity, I don't think someone like that could have any, you know, bad intentions, which of course is stupid looking back. But again, I was very young, like I still am young, and I just didn't realize what was going on. And another thing is, he gave me a laptop. So one day Harley came in with like a brand new laptop, and he goes, I bought you a laptop. And I was like, okay. And that was because my laptop at the time, it was very old and it was playing up. I was making YouTube videos, but my editing just wasn't working anymore because my laptop wasn't working. And he saw that, and he thought I was like making good videos or whatever, and he thought that because he thought I was hot, I could just take my clothes off and I would be good on YouTube, basically. So he got me the laptop, and what he said at first is, you can borrow it and then give it back when I leave, which was confusing because he was going to leave the next week. So I was like, all right, I'll just use your laptop for a week, I guess. And then before he left Thailand the week after, he said, oh, just keep it, you know, just keep it. And I was like, okay, fair enough, are you sure? And he said, yeah. And I was like, okay. So we didn't have many interactions with that at all, because he just left Thailand, went back to Adelaide. I moved to the Gold Coast, and yeah, I had some personal, pretty intense problems in my life then, which is why I started making less videos on my YouTube channel. And I knew that he wanted me to make videos, obviously, so I messaged him just being like, you know, I haven't been making as many videos as you might want me to, and I still really appreciate your gift. And yeah, basically I said, I still really appreciate you. And he basically just said, yeah, okay, whatever, I understand, whatever. And I was like, okay, so he doesn't really seem to care that much about what I'm doing or whatever. But yeah, so that was pretty much it, and that was our last interaction for like half a year. And then fast forward about 6 months, and I got back to Thailand, which is where I'm now, about 2 weeks ago. And when I got here, I started talking to people that he was harassing on the internet, and he was bullying, which at the time I didn't realize. I thought they were just actually like, you know, doing wrong things, and like there was an actual reason to bully them. But then when I talked to them, I found out that he was actually just bullying people for no actual reason whatsoever, and that's when I started speaking out against him. Now this is where things really start, because I started commenting on his posts, basically telling him that what he was doing was wrong, and telling him that it wasn't okay, just so people would see, you know, that it's not really what it seems, and that these people weren't doing anything wrong. So that's pretty much when I guess you could say, turned against him. Although it's not like I hate anyone, I just genuinely don't think that the way he is slamming and harassing and bullying people on the internet is okay. It's not okay at all, because I'm vegan, so I stand up for those who are being bullied. So I think that same night when I started posting those things, he started messaging me being like, give me your laptop. And I think the day after or 2 days after, he saw my friend and I riding in the street of Chiang Mai. He started following us. He like cut my friend off so she was behind me. He was like right beside me, just face full of anger and rage. There was like no actual emotions in that face, but just aggression and anger. It was quite scary, to be honest, because I was just by myself, and I didn't know what to do and how to react. And he was saying, like, you're gonna get arrested, you're going to jail if you don't give me your laptop. And it was just crazy, like completely unexpected. And so I basically, he kept being like, are you gonna give me the laptop? Are you gonna give me the laptop? And I was like, okay, because I just wanted to get them off me. And then basically he just turned and left. And I was so scared that day, honestly. But so a few hours later, I got back home from having dinner with a few friends, and the wheels of my bike were gone. So my bike was locked by the frame downstairs at my apartment building, and my wheels were just gone, which is strange because there was a few other bikes that were way more expensive than mine, and especially stealing bikes, doesn't really happen in Thailand. It's not really a thing. Now that was a few hours after Harley got so angry at me, and he knows exactly which one my bike is. Obviously he knows exactly where I live, because we used to be so close in the past, you know. So basically, because one of Harley's friends, Angry Vegan, just lives down the hallway, I talked to him that night and I said, there's cameras opposite our building and they probably caught the theft. And then fast forward to the next morning, and someone must have gotten scared because my wheels were back but locked up next to my bike with Harley's lock. And now I definitely know that that was Harley's lock, because that's the one he's been riding around with in, you know, his girlfriend's vlogs and everything. That's what he uses around town. And the lock that was downstairs, locked up with my wheels, even is like worn off in the exact same places, so it was definitely his lock, which, you know, is pretty disappointing to see from someone who claims to be a responsible leader of a cycling community to do something like that to a fellow cyclist. But yeah, just every time things like that happened, I was just more disappointed. Like this whole like illusion that I had of him was just crashed, because I thought he was, you know, as I said earlier, I thought he was so great. But yeah, so as soon as yeah, so when my wheels came back and then a few hours later the lock was gone off the wheels as well, and coincidentally at the same time Harley appeared at my apartment building, basically saying that he was going to arrest me. I wasn't here at the time, but my roommate was, and he started like knocking at our door really aggressively, shouting at her, threatening her, saying that she has to come out and he's going to take her to the police and things like that. She was just very freaked out, and I feel really sorry that she had to witness this, because you know, he was just completely aggressive and out of it, just threatening all my friends at this building. And yeah, the police told me that the police actually did get there, because he called them, I guess, and they told me that if I wanted to, I could go to the police station and make a statement if I, you know, just to resolve all of this, because there was quite a bit of drama. And I was like, okay, like I will go to the police station, because I don't want any of this drama, you know. That's not what I came here for. All I did was just stand up for people who were being bullied, and then everything just exploded. So yeah, I went to the police station. When Harley found out, he like jumped on his bike and sprinted to the police station. He got there way earlier than I did. I'm not sure what he told them, I'm not sure what he did, but they didn't let me make a statement, although that's what they said I should come there for. But basically what they said is, if I didn't want to go to court, then I should just give him my laptop just to resolve this, which obviously isn't really right at all and isn't just. But it's basically what I ended up doing, because obviously I don't have the time, and I just don't want to be involved in this whole thing, you know. So that's basically what I ended up doing, and unfortunately he kept harassing me in front of the police as well, just mocking me for absolutely everything. Like he was mocking my face, saying I had a zit that was like really big or whatever, and he wouldn't take me seriously because of that. And he kept saying basically anything that he thought would hurt me the most is what he said. Like he said I was really fat and I would always be single. Now you have to remember, this is a guy who will say pretty much anything, anything that will fit into his perfect little worldview that he has, where he's the big hero and the leader and, you know, just the great guy, and everyone else is trying to destroy him. So he literally went from, you know, saying I was, last year, so hot, to I was basically looking disgusting and I was fat and all of that. And he went from saying I was 10 out of 10 relationship material to saying I will be single forever. And that shift just happened because I was speaking out against him. So something good to know, something important to know in my opinion about Harley is that if you know him in person, if you know him from the internet, you might think he's really giving, he's a really giving guy. But the thing is, he always wants something back. And if he doesn't specifically ask for something in return, then what he wants back is admiration and attention. And as soon as you take that away from him, which is what I did when I started speaking out against, you know, what he was doing, when I started speaking out about how wrong it was, how he was slamming and harassing these people, that's when you take away the admiration and attention, and that's when he turns against you pretty much, because that's what he needs from people to feed his ego. So that's pretty much what happened. He also had to, the police made him write this letter. It's in his own handwriting. And what it was supposed to be was that a letter saying that he confirms he won't come back to my apartment building. So the police pretty much banned him from coming back here, and were telling him that he had to confirm he would knock on my door again, things like that, because of how he was threatening me. But because the police didn't speak English very well, he kind of just made like a whole mockery out of this whole thing. So basically what this says is, in his handwriting, Harley Johnstone from Australia promises to never knock on the door of the short fat girl, and then he wrote my name, but he changed it to sound really stupid, who lives in, and then he changed the number of where I live as well. So it would just completely be invalid if he puts the wrong apartment number, which is what he did at this apartment. I lived my way away from these terrible time wasters, Harley Johnstone. So basically the whole time, even in front of the police, he was just mocking me in every way he could, and telling me I would go to jail, that I should be like ashamed of myself and things like that. And then later that day, he also commented on my Facebook. I might get the screenshot up here if I can. Basically commented saying that I should be, I'm not sure what he said, I should be ashamed of myself, and he said, I hope your daddy's proud of you for sleeping with a 40-year-old creep in the hopes of getting a new computer. So that's the kinds of things that he will say to you, and that's how he will try and destroy you as soon as you know, stand up against him, which is really sad, but unfortunately this is what's happened. And I just want to get this story out there, especially so that young girls can be warned and can know who they're dealing with, because obviously I had no idea what I was dealing with. I never asked for anything from him, obviously. And yeah, I know some of these things, like you might be saying, it was stupid to accept a gift from him, it was stupid to trust him this much, it was stupid to do this. I understand, and obviously if I could go back I would not trust him at all, but at the same time you must realize that if you look up to someone that much, you just try to justify anything bad that they will do, just so that you don't have to, you know, shift that image, that illusion that you have of them in your head. And I think that's really dangerous, especially in a community like this, where you have someone like that as the community leader. So that's why I just wanted to get the story out there, just so that people know what they're dealing with and so that people are warned. I recommend watching, there's a few videos that have come out, they're called The Unmasking by Norwegian. They really explain his personality type very well, coming from, you know, someone who's known him quite closely in the past. They're pretty spot on and have made me realize a lot as well. Because obviously the whole thing about manipulation is, at the time that you're being manipulated, you don't realize you're being manipulated. That's the whole point of manipulation. So that's why I'm only telling the story now. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I really want to say, and I won't make any more videos about this. I'm really just done with this. I just want him out of my life, and I just want to get this out there so that he can't do to other people what he did to me and what he did to others as well. I know that other girls that he was with in the past, he's now asking them for things back that he gave to them as gifts and things like that. That just really, you know, just really weird things that he's just doing things out of spite. He's just wanting to get things back. He's just wanting to get back at people just out of spite. I assume that after he sees this video, he'll come out with a lot of lies about me. I'm not sure what he'll say, but please just be aware that he will just, you know, make up anything just to fit his own little worldview that he has in his head, no matter if it's true, if it's actually what he thinks, if it makes sense. He will just say a lot of things that, you know, normal people wouldn't even lie about. So just important to be aware of that. And yeah, that's all.